أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وصحابته المنتجبين. صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله، صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة ويا عبرة كل مؤمن ومؤمنة يا مظلوم يا شهيد يا غريب كربلاء، يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال فبما أغويتني لأقعدن لهم صراطك المستقيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. A second for the love of Imams Al-Hassan wal-Hussein. A third for the love of Fatima Zahra with your loudest voices. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala declared to the angels that He will have a representative on this earth and create the first human being. وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. Of course, there were some who objected to Allah. قالوا أتجعل فيها من يسفك الدماء من يفسد فيها ويسفك الدماء ونحن نسبح بحمدك. Will you put someone on earth who will be corrupt and spill blood? Yet Allah told them to be quiet because they have no knowledge and He has knowledge. And He created the very first human being, Adam alayhi salam. And when He created Adam, He ordered all of the angels to prostrate and to perform sujood to Adam. Now this command to perform sujood can mean one of two things. It was either a sign of honor and respect to Adam as Allah's representative on earth. It was not a form of worship. Allah was not asking the angels to worship Adam, obviously. Only one deserves worship, and that is Allah. Thus, it could either mean it was a sign of honor and respect to Adam, or this sujood to Adam was in fact sujood to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the qibla was whom? The Qibla was Adam. The same way that we prostrate towards the Kaaba, yet our prostration is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Kaaba is only a direction, a Qibla. The Quran says that all of the angels complied to this request, to this command, and they all prostrated to Adam except one, except Shaytan. He refused. فَسَجَدُوا أَجْمَعِينَ إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ أَبَى. Shaytan refused. He said, I will not prostrate to Adam. Why? Why will you not prostrate to Adam? قال أنا خير منه خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. He said, oh Allah, I'm better than him. Why should I prostrate to him? You have created me from fire, but you created him from mud. And it's quite logical that fire is greater than mud. Fire is more honorable, it's more prestigious than mud. So why should I be prostrating to Adam? Of course, what Iblis did, he performed an analogy, a qiyas. He said, since I am from fire and Adam is from mud, and fire is greater than mud, thus he does not deserve my prostration. This was his analogy. Of course, this is a wrong analogy. First of all, who said that fire is greater than mud? In fact, it is the other way around. Mud is greater than fire. Everything, all sorts of life stems from mud, stems from the soil, stems from dirt. Plants, vegetables, oxygen, everything we eat, it's all from the soil. Even water comes from the soil. Everything that exists, it goes back to soil. How is it that fire became greater than soil and mud? It's the other way around. Number two, even if fire is greater than mud, was Adam only mud? Was he only from dirt? No. He created something, he carried something else with him. What did Adam carry inside of him that no one else carried? The Spirit of Allah. فَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي. Adam was not just a form of clay or mud. He was carrying the Spirit of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inside him. Allah blew in him from His own Spirit. But Iblis was not paying attention to this point. So he refused to prostrate. This was the first act of disobedience towards Allah. He refused to prostrate. Of course, the real reason why Iblis refused to prostrate towards Adam was arrogance, was pride. And the Quran says this. The Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells Iblis, He tells him what you did backfired against you. The reason why you didn't prostrate to Adam was because of arrogance, because you're proud. Iblis saw himself as an old jinn. He's been worshipping Allah for 6,000 years. He's been at the service of Allah for 6,000 years. All of a sudden, a human being is created, and now he has to prostrate towards him. How is this possible? Where did all of his hard work go? Thus he felt arrogant. He felt arrogance. Arrogance took over him. Pride took over him. The Quran tells him, Allah tells him in the Quran, He says, what you did backfired. By not prostrating, you thought that you're raising your level, while the opposite occurred. You lowered your level. قَالَ فَخْرُجْ مِنْهَا فَإِنَّكَ مِنَ الصَّاغِرِينَ. You lowered yourself, you didn't raise yourself. Those who are arrogant, perhaps sometimes they do things out of arrogance. They think they're raising themselves. Someone comes to the masjid, to the majlis, he comes and sits in a position that he doesn't deserve. It's reserved for the elderly. But because he's arrogant, he thinks he deserves this. By this act, he's lowering himself. He's not raising himself. All those who are arrogant, when they do an act of arrogance, they're lowering themselves, they're not raising themselves. What was the result? The result was Allah tells him to leave paradise. There's no room for those who are arrogant, for the mutakabbirin. Paradise has no room for the mutakabbirin. He had to leave. When he left, Iblis asked for 3 favors from Allah. He told him, now that I'm leaving, well, I worshipped you for 6,000 years. In return for these 6,000 years of worship, I asked for 3 things in return. What were the favors? Number 1, he asked for a long life. قَالَ رَبِّ أَنظِرْنِي إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ. Allah tells him, that's fine. You receive this wish. You want a long life? You may live a long life. قَالَ إِنَّكَ مِنَ الْمُنظَرِينَ. But Iblis had asked to live a long life up till the day of judgment. Allah tells him, you will have a long life. But He doesn't tell him you will live up to the day of judgment. He says, قَالَ إِنَّكَ مِنَ الْمُنظَرِينَ. You will have a long life. How long? We don't know. In another verse, إِلَى يَوْمِ الْوَقْتِ الْمَعْلُومِ. Until a certain day. Which day is that? Is that necessarily the day of judgment? No. In fact, we have some hadith that the end of Iblis will be when? At the hands of whom? At the hands of our last Imam, Al-Imam Al-Mahdi, عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. At any point, Iblis wanted a long life. Allah tells him, you shall have a long life. This is the first favor. What was the second favor? Iblis asked Allah to become invisible. He wants to be invisible. Allah told him, you will have that favor as well. You will be invisible. The third favor, he said, Iblis asked Allah, he said, for every child that you give Adam, give me 2. Give me 2. For each child that you give Adam, give me 2. In another hadith, give me 10. For each one of Adam's children, give me 10 children. That means that the children of Shaytan, their population is at least double the size of human beings. If not, 10 times. 10 times more. So if there's 6 billion human beings now, there's 12 billion of Shaytan's children. Or 60 billion. According to the 2 narrations. These were 3 favors. Once Allah gives him these 3 favors, number 1, the long life. Number 2, invisibility. Number 3, an abundance of children. He declares war. He declares war on all human beings. He says, قَالَ فَبِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي لَأَقْعُدَنَّ لَهُمْ صِرَاطَكَ الْمُسْتَقِيمَ. These human beings, not just Adam and Eve. Iblis didn't just have an issue with Adam and Eve. He has an issue with all of humankind, with me, with you, all of us. He said, I swear, he swears, لَا أَقْعُدَنَّ. This is Lam al-Qasam. لَا أَقْعُدَنَّ لَهُمْ صِرَاطَكَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. I will make sure to take them astray. To take them away from your straight path, from your right path. I will take them away from guidance. I will make sure that I will disguide them. ثُمَّ لَآتِيَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ وَعَنْ شَمَائِلِهِمْ. And I will come to them from their front, from their back, from their right side, from their left side. Iblis is saying, I will come to humans from every single direction. From the front, from the back, from the right, from the left. But what's interesting is he didn't say, I will come from the top. Nor from the bottom. Why? Some hadith say he cannot come from the top because of the qunut that we perform. Because from the top, this is our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He can't come from the top. He can't come from the bottom because of the sujood that we perform. Thus from two directions he's locked, from the top and from the bottom. And that's thanks. That's due to the, all thanks is due to the qunut that we perform and the sujood that we perform. But from the front, from the back, from the right, and from the left, he comes. He's declared a war. He declared a war. Instead of seeking forgiveness, instead of repenting, instead of feeling remorseful for his act of disobedience, he declared war on all human beings. Now question. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew of Iblis's plan. He knew his declaration of war. He knew exactly what is Iblis's role in life. He declared his role in life, his objective. What's his objective? To misguide every single human being. To take them away from the straight path. This is his life objective. To make sure that every human being from the children of Adam does not enter heaven and becomes disobedient to Allah. At least this is his plan. Is he successful or not? This is another story. This is his declared plan. We ask, why did Allah accept this favor? Why did Allah accept this request and perform this request for him? He asked for a long life. Why did Allah give him a long life? Allah could have easily taken away his life. Why give him such a long life? Why make him invisible? Why give him so many children? Why? Is this fair from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Allah could have easily eradicated Iblis and made the world a peaceful place without Iblis. But why did he give so much room to Iblis? The answer, Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa Muhammad. When you're in school, in high school, in college, in medical school, in law school, you have to take exams. Some of the questions are easy, you know it. And some questions are what? They're tough. You have tough questions on the exam. On the SAT, I'm sure all of the youth here have taken the SAT. On the SAT, there's a section where there's analogies. And some of them are very similar to each other. To the point that you can easily mix it up. Becomes a tough test. Why? Because if it's something easy, you're not going to learn. They make it a tough test for you so that you go out and you study. So that what you earn as a degree, when you graduate, you've earned it. It didn't come to you for free. That's the test. When you take a driving test, they put all sorts of bumps. They tell you to do parallel parking, go on the freeway, go in a school zone. They take it in the most difficult places. Why? So that when they give you your license, you've earned it. They make sure that you're a good driver. That's the whole point. If it's something easy, if there's no test, there's no bumps, there's no parallel parking, how are they going to distinguish whether you're a good driver or a bad driver? If there's no analogies on SATs, how are they going to know if you're a good student or a bad student? Life is a test, brothers and sisters. Life without Iblis would be a piece of cake. Everything would be easy. Paradise would be easy. But Allah says, you want paradise? There has to be a certain test. There has to be someone who puts obstacles in front of you. Someone who tries to dissuade you, to trick you, to whisper in your ears. But if you made it at the end of the day, then you deserved paradise. أَحَسِبَ النَّاسُ أَن يَقُولُوا آمَنَّا وَهُمْ لَا يُفْتَنُونَ. Do people think that they could easily come and tell Allah, we believe in everything that you give us and tell us, and that's it? Paradise comes easy? Of course not. There's obstacles towards paradise, and Shaytan is that obstacle. Shaytan is that test. Of course, Allah knows that there are some who will fail the test, and there are some who will pass the test. And Allah tells Iblis, Allah tells him that you will trick and fool the ones that are weak. But for my true servants, you have no control over them. You have no power over them. إن عبادي ليس لك عليهم سلطان إلا من اتبعك من الغاوين. Yes, you will have a group of followers that will follow you, the weak. But my genuine and sincere worshippers and servants, you have no authority over them. Question. This is a test for whom? Allah knows everything. At the end of the day, Allah knows everything. Allah knows the good ones from us and the bad ones from us. So why put us through a test when He knows the results? Is this a good question? If Allah knows the results, why put us through a test? You test someone when you don't know the results. You want to know the results, you test someone. But Allah already knows the results. Allah knows the ones that are good from us, and He knows the ones that are bad from us. So why put us through tests? The answer is to give us a chance. Because on the day of judgment, if we didn't receive any tests, and Allah put some in paradise and some in hell, everyone will complain. The ones that went to hell, they will complain. Why didn't you give me a chance? Allah gives them a chance. Allah says, see, I put you through a test, but at the end of the day, you still failed. So that they can't complain any longer. This is a test for us, not for Allah. So that the results become clear for us, not for Allah. Allah already knows the results. Thus, giving Shaytan and Iblis all these privileges, this doesn't conflict with Allah's wisdom or Allah's mercy. And then Allah tells us that Iblis is our enemy. If Allah hadn't warned us against Iblis, then yes. But Allah warns us against Iblis. إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ فَاتَّخِذُوهُ عَدُوًّا. Allah tells us Shaytan has declared himself. Shaytan is your enemy, so declare him as an enemy. Declare him as an enemy. When a country declares war against another country, what does the other country do? They sit and smile. They go and they perform economic pacts with them. This is what we do with Shaytan. Shaytan, he declares us as enemies. He declares war on us, yet we befriend him. We sit and we have coffee with him. We go out with him. We listen to him. Allah already warns us against Shaytan. يا بني آدم لا يفتننكم الشيطان كما أخرج أبويكم من الجنة. Allah warns us. He tells us, be careful of Shaytan. Don't let him trick you the same way that he tricked your parents, meaning Adam and Eve, and he kicked them out of paradise. Don't let him do what he did to your parents. Thus Allah warns us of Shaytan. Now, like I said, Shaytan has several qualities. Now, this enemy of ours, Shaytan is an enemy, and Allah is telling us, take him as an enemy. Declare him as an enemy. إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ فَاتَّخِذُوهُ عَدُوًّا. Let's get to know this enemy. Right now, when any country wants to go into war, they study. Who's our enemy? What sort of army do they have? What sort of weapons do they have? What are they capable of doing? How much harm are they capable of doing? Shouldn't we get to know our enemy? Look at his weapons. Look at his qualities. Look at how much harm he's able to perform. Number one, Iblis is invisible. How dangerous is that? Imagine you get in a fight with someone at school. Some of you maybe got in fights. Imagine you get in a fight with someone who's 6'5", who's 250 pounds. He's huge, huge biceps, huge shoulders. And on top of that, he's carrying weapons with him. Now imagine if he was invisible as well. What would happen? Would you last against this sort of enemy? He's huge, he's powerful, he's equipped, he has weapons, plus he's invisible. How dangerous is that? Imagine if a country goes in a war with another country, but that country has an invisible army. How dangerous is that? Shaytan is invisible. that means he could come to us at any moment, at any time, under any disguise, and we don't realize that this is Shaytan. That's the dangerous part about it. Is that Shaytan comes to us in various disguises, and we don't even realize that this is Shaytan because he's invisible. This is one. Allah says, إِنَّهُ يَرَاكُمْ هُوَ وَقَبِيلُهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا تَرَوْنَهُ. He sees you, but you can't see him. This is a very dangerous enemy. This is one. Number two, he has an army. هُوَ وَقَبِيلُهُ. Shaytan is not working by himself. He has a group. He has a political party. He has a whole army that's working against us. In some ahadith, that every human being is born with a shaitan with him, a qareen. Every human being, every one of us has a shaitan with him, from morning till night, trying to persuade him to disobey Allah, to sin, to commit sins, and to go astray from the straight path. This is a very dangerous enemy, to the point that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned Iblis in the Quran, has mentioned Shaytan in the Quran 57 times. 57 times. Under the name Shaytan. And under the name Iblis 11 times. 57 plus 11, that's how much? 68 times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns us against Shaytan and Iblis in the Quran. But do we take him seriously? No. An enemy that we've been warned against 68 times in the Quran, but we don't take him seriously. Now, how does Shaytan trick us? Now, we know that we have an enemy that has declared war against us. He's very dangerous. He's made it his lifetime goal. He has a very long life. He's invisible, and he has an army. What's his weapons? Let's get to know his weapons. How is it that Shaytan comes to us? How does he deceive us? Number one, and I want my brothers and sisters to remember these points. Number one, with his voice. Shaytan has a voice. He comes to us through his voice. Now you're probably thinking, his voice, I've never heard Shaytan's voice. I've sat in my room by myself at night. I've never heard him come to me in the middle of the night. And now I'm not trying to scare the little kids. Don't worry, Shaytan doesn't come in the middle of the night in your room. No. That's not his tactics. He uses his voice in another way. How? One of the ways. The Quran says, وَاسْتَفْزِزْ مَنِ اسْتَطَعْتَ مِنْهُمْ بِصَوْتِكَ. One of the ways that he comes to us is through his voice, the Quran says. One prime example is music. Music, this is one of the weapons of Shaytan. This is one of the tactics of Shaytan. He comes to us through music. When you sit in the car and you turn on the radio and you listen to your favorite entertainer or your favorite singer, you're actually listening to Shaytan. When you're listening to music and you think that you're putting you at ease and you're having a good time and you're enjoying yourself and you're blowing off steam and you're going away from depression, this is all Shaytan. What you're doing is you're putting Shaytan in your ears. And from your ears to your heart. وَاسْتَفْزِزْ مَنِ اسْتَطَعْتَ مِنْهُمْ بِصَوْتِكَ. This is number one. One of the first tricks, one of the first devices, one of the first weapons of Shaytan is his voice. And a prime example is music. And we'll talk about this more in a couple of nights. Don't think I'll let you get away with music, brothers and sisters. I will come back and I'll talk about this in a couple of nights. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Number two, another one of his devices is looking at the opposite gender. Looking at the opposite sex. This is one of the devices of Shaytan. The hadith says, النظر سهم من سهام إبليس مسموم. That looking at the opposite sex is one of the arrows of Shaytan, one of the arrows of Iblis. When you're looking at the opposite sex with lust, know that Shaytan has hit you with an arrow in your chest. And that arrow is poisonous. It's a poisonous arrow. Looking at the opposite gender. You see, most youth that get themselves in trouble with the opposite gender, and they go out and they date and they perform all kinds of crazy things that youth are doing today. It starts off with what? If there's a youth that lowers his gaze and lowers his head, will this person get himself in trouble? No. It's always the ones that their radar is always on. They look from here, from there, at school, at work, in the car. When they stop at a traffic light, he's sitting in the car. He's waiting for the light to turn green, but he's looking in the other cars. He's checking out. On the internet, goes through people's profiles, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, mashallah, every day there's new social networks. This is all from Shaytan. And it all starts from looking, brothers and sisters. And all, first it's a look, it's a glance, and then it's a smile, and then it's a hello, and then it's meeting for coffee. And there's some experts, I don't need to tell. It all starts from looking. That's the first trap of Shaytan. Shaytan says, look at the opposite gender. Look at her. She has makeup. She didn't put that makeup on for nothing. She put it so people can look, can see. Look at her dress. Look at that hot guy over there. Look at his huge arms. He's been working out, you know. Don't let his work go for nothing. Look at him at least. It all starts from looking. This is 2. Number 3. A hadith tell us that when a young man and a young woman are by themselves, the third wheel is whom? It's Shaytan. This is one of his traps. When a young man and a young woman are by themselves in a room, in a car, in a restaurant, when they're by themselves, the third person to join them and sit with them on that coffee table is Iblis. And there's some hadith that Iblis will remain with them until he will make sure that they disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be careful. That is why hadith say a young man and a young woman should never be by themselves. Never be by themselves privately. They should always be in public. There should always be someone else. Because as soon as you're by yourself, Iblis comes. This is 3. Among the weapons and devices of Iblis is alcohol and gambling. إنما الخمر والميسر والأنصاب والأزلام رجس من عمل الشيطان فاجتنبوه. Alcohol, that is one of the weapons of Shaytan. Shaytan comes and tricks people. How? Through alcohol, through the usage of alcohol. And through the usage of gambling, through gambling. But inshallah, no one in our majalis, I believe no one that comes and attends the majalis of Aba Abdullah has been tested with this sort of sin, inshallah. Inshallah, we're all free from this spiritual crime. Among the weapons of Shaytan is to give false promises. False promises. وَعَدْهُمْ وَمَا يَعَدُهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ إِلَّا غُرُورًا. Shaytan comes and gives false promises. Someone wants to perform tawbah and repent to Allah from a certain sin. Shaytan says, what's the big deal? Someone wants to stop listening to music. Shaytan says, why? Are you crazy? Music is nice. Music is enjoyable. You have so many years ahead of you. You're still young. A young lady wants to start wearing hijab. Shaytan gives her false promises. You can wait a couple of years. All of your friends, none of them wear hijab. Why should you wear hijab? You should wait a couple of years. And Allah is all forgiving. And you can repent in the future and Allah will forgive you. These are false promises. You'll become a better person in the future, but right now enjoy yourself. All of these false promises. Among the ways that Shaytan comes, when you're performing a sin, Shaytan comes and says, it's not a big deal. Everyone else is doing it as well. Everyone else is doing the same sin that you're doing. It's not a big deal. If you ever get that feeling, know this is Shaytan. This is Shaytan. When you think that this is not a big deal. If I listen to music, everyone else listens to music. If I backbite occasionally, everyone else backbites. If my hijab, if my salah is not perfect, it's not a big deal. Everyone else is on the same boat. This is Shaytan. Among the tricks of Shaytan is that he distracts us. وَيَصُدَّكُمْ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَعَنِ الصَّلَاةِ. He distracts us. How many times is it that we go into our salah, from the moment that we start till the moment that we finish, we have no idea what we're saying. We're just moving our tongues. Where is our mind? God knows. This is Shaytan. This is Shaytan. When we can't concentrate on our salah, this is from Shaytan. We'll talk about this in a couple of nights, inshallah, when we talk about the effective salah. Why isn't our salah effective? Salah is supposed to have good results. How come we don't see the results of our salah? We'll talk about this in a couple of nights. Someone wants to come and pay khums. Shaitan distracts him. Shaitan tells him, are you crazy? You've worked hard for this money. Why would you want to pay khums? I have one of the scholars here in America. He says that someone called me at night. He told me, Sayyidina, I'd like to pay khums. I'd like to give khums because I'm going to Hajj. I'd like to calculate my khums. Can you help me calculate my khums? He said, yes. He said, we calculated his khums. His khums was $1 million. He said, okay. He hung up the phone. He said, I didn't hear from him until the next morning. He called me at 6 in the morning. He said, Sayyid, I want to come to the office right now and pay my khums. I told him, why now? Wait until 9 in the morning. I'm not going to be in my office till 9 in the morning. He said, no, I'm afraid if I wait till 9, Shaytan will stop me. I want to pay it right now. He said he came to the office. He said, Sayyid, last night I couldn't sleep for a moment. Because the entire night I was in a battle with Shaytan. $1 million. It's not a joke. You think Shaytan will let you pay that khums easily? Write a check for $1 million and says, go give it to your marja or your local Islamic center? Shaytan will put 1,000 obstacles. He said the entire night I was in a battle. I was fighting. Until at 6 in the morning, I won the battle. I decided to pay khums. That's why when I called you, I wanted to write the check right away. I was afraid Shaytan will come back again. Because even if you have a temporary victory, Shaytan doesn't give up. That's the thing about him. Shaytan says, let him have his victory for the next 5 minutes, but I'll come back again. And again, and again. One thing about Shaytan is that he's ambitious. He doesn't give up. Don't think he gives up easily. Don't think when you turn off the radio in the car and you defeated Shaytan, he's not going to come back in the next 5 minutes or 10 minutes. He'll come back again, I assure you. One thing about Shaytan is that he's ambitious and he's consistent. He's consistent. He keeps on coming back. He doesn't take no for an answer. One of the weapons of Shaytan is by wasting. وَلَا تُبَذِّرْ تَبْذِيرًا إِنَّ الْمُبَذِّرِينَ كَانُوا إِخْوَانَ الشَّيَاطِينَ وَكَانَ الشَّيْطَانُ لِرَبِّهِ كَفُورًا. One of his weapons is wasting, to be wasteful. You need a watch for $100. Shaytan comes and tells you to buy a watch for $1,000. This is Shaytan. You need a car that's worth $30,000. Shaytan will come and tell you buy a car that's $100,000. You need 3 pairs of shoes. Shaytan will come and tell you buy 20 pairs of shoes. You have to. There's weddings. There's funerals. There's invitations. There's majalis. You have to look good. Your shoes have to look good. This is from Shaytan. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. These are some of his devices. Today we have modern devices, brothers and sisters. Let me tell my young brothers and sisters, the youth, I am not against social networking. I'm not against Facebook or Twitter. In fact, I have my own accounts. But these tools can be used by Shaytan. These tools, these social networks, you can either use them to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to serve Allah, or you can use them to serve Shaytan. It's your choice. The choice is in your hands. I've seen many youth that have gone down a very wrong path because of these social networks. Shaytan comes to them in a new format, in a new technology on Facebook, with all sorts of pictures, with chats, with all sorts of things. And it's incredible the sort of pictures that are posted on the internet. Unfortunately, some of the sisters on the internet, they lose some of their haya, the embarrassment that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, their modesty that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them, and they post pictures that are an embarrassment. I don't only question such sisters, but I ask, where are their brothers? Where are their fathers? Where are their family members to come and tell them, don't post such pictures? This is the way of Shaytan, brothers and sisters. This is one of the tools of Shaytan. Be careful. If you have social networking, be careful how you use that social networking. Use it in a way to please Allah, not in a way to please Shaytan. TV is one of the modern devices of Shaytan. Most of it is a device by Shaytan. From morning till night, the scenes that come up, the music that comes up, the TV shows, the topics, the scenes, the pictures, the clothing, or rather the lack of clothing. This is all from Shaytan. This is one of the modern utensils of Shaytan. And alhamdulillah, each one of us has a Shaytan in his house. All of us. And now we have Shaytan in our pockets as well. We carry Shaytan in our pocket now. This is very dangerous. Thus when he says, ثُمَّ لَآتِيَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ وَعَنْ شَمَائِلِهِمْ. This is no joke. He comes from the front, from the back, from the right, from the left, in our pockets, in our living rooms, in our kitchen. Shaytan exists. Shaytan has existed throughout history, brothers and sisters, and he's been active. Shaytan is not lazy. Read the Quran, and you will see Shaytan trick Adam and Eve. He came to the tribe of Nuh. He came to Ad. He came to Thamud. He came to the brothers of Yusuf. What got the brothers of Yusuf, who were sons of whom? They were sons of a what? Of a prophet. Yet he came to them, and he tricked them, and he fooled them. Shaytan has been active throughout history. Let's not take him lightly. The same way that he's declared war on us, let's declare war on him. Now, how are the ways that we can combat Shaytan? وصلى على محمد وعلى محمد. First of all, let's seek refuge in Allah from Shaytan. Allah tells us in the Quran. Let's always say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. We seek refuge in Allah. We seek help in Allah against Shaytan. We tell Allah that I put my faith in you against Shaytan. This is one. And when you say it by your tongue, it's not just words. It's supposed to be implemented. When you seek refuge in Allah against Shaytan, that means you're also declaring him as an enemy. Not just by words, but by actions. We decide to kick Shaytan out of our lives, away from our family members, away from our children, from our wives, our spouses. We decide to kick Shaytan out of our lives, and our homes, and our businesses, and our wealth. Yes, even our wealth. Because Shaytan comes and he shares our wealth with us. The Quran says, وَشَارِكْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَوْلَادِ. Some of us, our partners in business is Shaytan. He shares us in our business, in our wealth. Thus, let's make a decision to kick him out. There are also certain practices and actions that kick Shaytan out of our life. Fasting. Fasting is one of the greatest weapons against Shaytan. Hadith say that if you like to kick Shaytan out of your life, reduce his control over you, it's through fasting. Sadaqah. As-sadaqah taqsimu dhahra, in a hadith. And when you give sadaqah, you break his back. Among the ways is sujood. When you prolong your sujood and salah, or even after salah, this destroys Shaytan. وَالسُّجُودُ يُسَوِّدُ وَجْهَهُ. When you perform sujood, you make his face black. That means you disappoint him. Why? Why is sujood a weapon against Iblis? Because he fell in this test. Because it was in sujood that he fell in the test. He didn't pass the test. Thus, when you prolong your sujood, you're kicking him away from your life. On the night of Ashura, Imam Hossein alayhi salam was standing outside his tent. His son Ali al-Akbar was standing with him. Ali al-Akbar saw an entire army, 30,000 men, 30,000 troops that had gathered from Kufa. It was the same ones that wrote letters to Imam Hussein. The same ones that were asking him to come to Kufa so that they may give their allegiance to him. These same ones, they came to Karbala to fight. Imam Ali al-Akbar, the son of Imam Hussein, he asked the Imam, he says, my father, why have they gathered? For what? For what reason? Are they really going to kill us? Are they really going to fight us? What does the Imam say? He says, يَا بُنَيْ إِنَّ هَؤُلَاءِ قَوْمٌ اسْتَحْوَذَ عَلَيْهِمُ الشَّيْطَانِ. Shaytan has taken over them. These 30,000 troops, these 30,000 men, all of them, the one that brought them to Karbala was who? Shaytan. بُنَيْ إِنَّ هَؤُلَاءِ قَوْمٌ اسْتَحْوَذَ عَلَيْهِمُ الشَّيْطَانَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ ذِكْرَ اللَّهِ. This is what Shaytan did to them. The same ones that wrote to the Imam, they had written him letters. عَجَّلْ يَا ابْنَ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ فَقَدْ أَيْنَعَتِ الثِّمَارِ. Come to us. The time is right. The time is right for an uprising, for a revolution. Come to us, Ibn Rasulullah. You have thousands of soldiers waiting for you in Kufa. Yet these same ones, they came to Karbala to fight the Imam. How is this possible? How is this possible for a group of people to change all of a sudden? Is it not Shaytan? Is it not Shaytan who can come and fool a group of people? And for what? For some money, for some wealth, for some land. Umar bin Sa'd, who was the cousin of Imam Hussein, he was his distant cousin, yet he came to Karbala. And not only did he participate in the fighting, he was the commander of the army of Ibn Ziyad. Can Shaytan be more effective than this? On a day like this, on a night like this, the second day of Muharram, the caravan of Imam Hussein lands in Karbala. As they were in the middle of the desert, after heading from Mecca to Iraq, they're in the middle of the desert. All of a sudden, the horse of Imam Hussein stops. Stops. Refuses to move. The Imam asks for a second horse. They bring him a second horse. The second horse refuses to move. The Imam asks for a third horse, a fourth horse. He repeatedly changes his horse. None of them refuse. None of them move. They all refuse to move. Finally, the Imam says, Ashabi, mismu hadhihi al-ard. What is the name of this land? Someone got up and he said, Yabna Rasulullah, tusamma al-ghadhariyat. He said, no, I want another name. Someone got up and said, Yabna Rasulullah, tusamma al-taf. He said, no, there's another name. Someone got up and said, Yabna Rasulullah, tusamma Nainawa. He said, no, there's another name. They mentioned several names until someone said, Yabna Rasulullah, tusamma Karbala. When the Imam heard the name Karbala, he sighed. He took a breath. He said, Na'am, ardu karbin wa bala, Karbala, Karbala, Karbala. أصحابي انزلوا انزلوا فذا محط رحالنا انزلوا فذا مناخ ركابنا. Come down, my dear companions. And this is the land in which we shall settle in. And this is the land we'll be camping in. And this is the land in which we will die thirsty in. And this is the land I will see my youth be killed in. And this is the land we will see our women being taken as captives. They came down in this land. They put their tents, they put their camps in this land, the land of Karbala. As Sayyidah Zainab comes down from her camel, she still felt safe. Imam Hossein was still there. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas was standing. Ali al-Akbar al-Qasim were surrounding As-Sayyidah Zainab. On a day like this, As-Sayyidah Zainab still felt safe. Her brothers were around, her nephews were around. But on the eve of Ashura, Sayyidah Zainab looks around and there's nothing but dead bodies. Imam Hussein is on one side, Ali al-Akbar is on another side, Al-Qasim is on another side. She looks towards the river. أخي أبا الفاضل أنت الذي أتيت بي من المدينة إلى كربلاء قم الآن وودع أختك زينب. My dear brother Abbas, you're the one that brought me to Karbala. You're the one that told me I will protect you. Get up, Abul al-Fadl. Look at your sister Zainab tonight. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. Raise your hands in dua, brothers and sisters. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا عيبا إلا سترته ولا خوفا إلا آمنته ولا رزقا إلا بسطته ولا شملا إلا جمعته ولا مرضا إلا شفيته ولا غائبا إلا حفظته وأدنيته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة لك فيها رضا ولنا فيها صلاح إلا قضيتها ويسرتها يا أرحم الراحمين. ولأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات نقرأ سورة الفاتحة مع الصلوات.